Could you tell us something? Could you tell us more about this vast intelligence of which you speak? Is it an untapped capacity within the brain, or is it some disembodied force to which we may become open? Lovely question, isn't it? Could you tell us more about this vast intelligence of which you speak? Is it an untapped capacity within the brain, or is it some disembodied force to which we may become open? There is ordinary intelligence in there. You wouldn't be sitting here if you hadn't intelligence. Would you? You took a train, you walked, you went car, you went by a bus and so on, which is the exercise of intelligence to come here. Because you wanted to come. Or it is intelligence to write a good letter. It is intelligence to put the computer together. It is intelligence that has put man on the moon. And it is not intelligence who puts a flag up there. Right? And it is intelligence that has made the computers, missiles, the atom bomb, neutron bomb, the hydrogen bomb, and all the things that are investigating about cancer, you follow? Liver trouble, and so on, so on, so on. That all requires intelligence. And that intelligence is the outcome of thought. Right? Right? But that intelligence is limited. Because it is the outcome of very careful, logical, experimental, systematic working it out, which is thought. Right? So, and thought is limited. Therefore, all measurement, which is technology, is limited. They're adding more and more and more every year. Right? Where there is the more, it is limited. Right? Are we together? Or the better is limited. I am better than yesterday. It's very limited. Now, is there an intelligence which is not limited? I'm asking you, we're not telling each other. We recognize the common intelligence. Earn money, do business, go to the factory, get up in the morning, all the rest of it. That requires certain intelligence, which is limited. Right? Because it's the outcome of thought. And thought, born of knowledge, and as knowledge is limited, always in the future or now, so thought is always limited. And the intelligence of thought is limited. That's simple. And is there intelligence which is not limited? Right? Now, who is going to find out? How will you find out? In what? How will you? Not how. How do you inquire? You understand my question? How do you probe into this? Knowing that thought has created intelligence which is limited. The artist, the poet, the great sculptors, the great literary people, painters and so on, all their things are limited, naturally. Though the artist may not accept that, but scientists accept it. Because they're adding more and more and more every year. Getting more and more knowledge about biology, about everything. So is there an intelligence which is not additive? You say the word adding to it. How can we probe into this? To go into it together. I'm not telling you what to do, please. I'm not your guru. I'm not your leader. I'm not your helper. That's not cruelty. Because we have been helped by so many people for thousands of years. And this help has made us weak. This help from seeking from so many directions is making us feeble. We cannot stand on our own feet and observe and be responsible. Right? If you are seeking help, how can you be responsible? Or if you are dependent, how can you be responsible? So, how do we, how is it possible to probe into this? Into that intelligence which is not limited? That intelligence, we don't know, right? It's not, speaker has talked about it. He may know it or he may not know it. That's irrelevant. But how should you come upon it? To inquire into it, I must inquire into my whole existence, right? That means my existence, daily existence, not some illusory existence on another plane, another dimension and so on, superego, super consciousness, all that ideological nonsense. So, I must probe into my life. Obviously, the first thing is, where there is conflict, there is no intelligence. Right? If I'm in conflict all the time with people, with ideas, with theories, opinions, right? So, is there an end to conflict? Which means, is there an end to conflict and other problems so that the brain is free? Right? Are we together, at least verbally? You can see the logic of it, the sanity of this. The brain is conditioned, and conditioned to conflict. I'm taking that one issue. That brain is in conflict. Where there is conflict, it's impossible to see things clearly. Right? I see things very clearly that thought is limited, and whatever it does is limited, technologically or so-called spiritually is limited. And one sees also conflict being the way of life, struggle, being somebody, achieving something, and so on, so on, so on, is conflict. And conflict distorts perception. Right? If I'm quarreling with my wife or my husband or with neighbor, I cannot see things as they are. I won't go into it more. So, there must be, if I see the truth of it, that very truth frees the brain from conflict. That is intelligence. Right? Seeing the truth of something and let that truth act. Right? I see very clearly, as long as there is conflict in the brain, it is not possible to see things clearly. That very perception ends conflict. Right? Because it's so. It is so, a snake is dangerous. Wild animal is dangerous. It is so, there is no two ways about it. Right. So, where is conflict? Where is the root of conflict? What makes the brain live in endless conflict? Is there a remedy for it? Not drugs, not alcohol, not some kind of fanciful imagination. Is there a perception that frees the brain from conflict, and therefore that brain is now moving or living in quite a different state, right? And what is that state? You're following? We are not analyzing, we're just observing. Is that, very briefly, got so little time. Very briefly, analyzer is the analyzed. Now, there is the analyzer separate from the thing he's analyzing. I'm analyzing myself. Suppose I have separated myself from the thing which I am observing. Right? I am angry or jealous or neurotic, probably neurotic more. I'm neurotic. And then I say, why am I neurotic? As though it was something outside of me. Right? I am neurotic because the brain is neurotic, right? My whole being is neurotic. It's not I am different from neurosis. So the observer, the analyzer, is the analyzed. Clear? Like the experiencer is the experience. Of course. rather difficult. Need I go into this? The thinker is the thought, right? That's clear. The thinker who says, I'm separate from thought, and therefore he controls thought, his shape, right? But the thinker is thought itself. So the thinker is the thought. The analyzer is the analyzed. Now, move next step, which is experiencer is not different from the experience. He thinks he's different. And therefore he says, I must experience. To experience, you must recognize it, right? Otherwise it's not an experience. But to recognize it, you already know it. I want to put this. So the experiencer is the experience, the thinker is the thought, the analyzer is the analyzed. Right? Probably the analysts and the therapists and so on won't agree with this, but doesn't matter. Probably, I said, they may. So, there is being. If there is no conflict, it means there is only the fact. Right? Right? There is only the ending of conflict. It's a fact. Or not a fact. Then, what takes place in relationship? You understand? That's when there is no conflict inside my brain, inside the brain. It's not my brain, it's the brain of all of us. That we won't go into for the moment. This brain is now without conflict, right? Because I watched it, looked at it. And therefore, in my relationship, there's no conflict. With a woman, man, right? Then, when there is no conflict in a relationship, then what is it? Is it not love? Right? When there is no conflict, you understand? So they were all so dazed about all this. When there is no conflict between you and me, you understand? There's no difference between you and me. You may be a woman, I'm a man, and so on. You may be tall, short, black, white, purple, or whatever it is. But when there's no conflict, there's a total relationship between you and me. That is love. Right? Love is not jealousy. Love is not desire. Love is not pleasure. Pleasure means conflict. Desire means conflict. I want to do something, my wife wants to do something else. Where there is love, she can do what she wants, but there is love. You understand? The whole transformation has taken place. Where there is love, there is compassion. And where there is love and compassion, that is intelligence. That intelligence gives, in that intelligence there is absolute security, not relative security. You understand? That is intelligence. But one has to be tremendously watchful, which will be now. And that intelligence is limitless. It's not yours or mine, it's intelligence. Love is not my love and your love, it's love. Yes, sir. That love may be for one or the many, it's still love. Where there is love, there is no hate, there is no enemy. Sir, don't you know all this? So that is intelligence. You can't talk endlessly about it unless you do it. One can talk about it, as I have been doing. If you go into it much deeper, I don't know if you have time for it. You know, have you ever looked at a drum? A drum is tuned to its highest excellence, right tone. And when you strike on it, it gives the right note. Right? It is tuned. So the brain, when it is tuned, it gives right note, right response. I wonder if you capture all this. And it's not tuned, like drum is not, when it's confident, it's slack. So, to the brain tuned. Not you tune the brain, because you are part of the brain. You have to go, I won't go into all that. So is it possible, like the drum which is tuned to its highest excellence, to have the brain so tuned that it gives the right note all the time? Yes, sir.